Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Monica with MShaunPlans, and I am going to call this ink exploration ink travels. Don't ask me why. Everybody's doing ink exploration and I just wanted to put my own little twist on it. So today we're going to be talking about all about browns. I have a whole lot of samples and then a whole lot of bottles. So this may be two parts. I don't know, but we shall see. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. So we're going to get started with the samples first, I think, since I have them all readily right here in my cute little tray. And I'm going to just show you everything I have. This is my Galen Leather B6 notebook with Tomoe River paper that is 52 GSM. And this is just holding this side up. I have a ink holder that I purchased off Etsy to hold my vials of ink. I have 2 cups of water. I have my Kakamori brass nib, a pipette, and then a sailor dip pen, along with my trusty ink towel that has been faithful and loyal to me. I don't know how I'm going to do this because I thought about doing the little circles like Karina loves to plan, but I'm not really sure if I really want to do that. I really don't know. I'm not even going to tell you a lie. I don't know. I prepped all of my materials. I just don't know what format I want to go in. But let's just roll with it and see how this goes. So the first brown that I have is Papier Plume's Caramel. And this is a sample from Van Ness Pens. I have a lot of samples from Van Ness Pens, and then I have some from Goulet Pens, and then some that I got in an ink flight. And as you can tell, this is a very light brown ink, and I guess I'm going to be going with the vial method. This brown is very pretty, but it is very, very light as well. Very beautiful color, and it does remind me of caramel. And I think I'm just going to dip my dip pen in here. If I can get any on there. And y'all know I got to turn my book sideways. So this is Papier Plume. And this is their color Caramel. And I think I'll be using my Kakimori brass nib. Because this, although this is a medium nib on this Sailor, it writes like a 5. This is an Eastern medium. So, yeah. I think I'll be using my Kakamori brass nib. But this is a beautiful, beautiful light brown ink. If you're looking for that light brown color to kind of make your writing very subtle and I'm trying to think of a very good adjective here. Very subtle and real unique. I think this would be a very, very good brown. The next brown that I have is Robert Austis Australia's Oak. And this is another sample from Van Ness Pens. This is kind of like your medium brown. And I'm trying to get better at using descriptive words when describing my inks. So yeah, trying to, you know, get that down packed. I still feel that I am an amateur when it comes to this. Now, to me, this brown does have a few hints of pink. This Australia's oak. Robert Oster. And I probably should have done a little more research, but I do see the hues of pink in this ink, which makes it very, very beautiful. I have actually not written with this ink, but it is on my list of inks to use in the next couple of weeks. I want to go ahead and try to see what I can use before the end of the year, thus this ink exploration, to see if I want to, continue on with these with this ink, or pass it on to someone else. The next ink sample that I have is Dominant Industry November Leaves, and this is from an Ink Flight box. Now, I remember swatching this ink when I first got the Ink Flight, and this ink is super light. I mean, even in the swatch, it may not appear as light in the swatch, but when you are writing, yeah, it reminds me of like a blonde tea. I don't know if you've ever had a blonde tea before, but that is what it reminds me of. I guess this is supposed to mimic the leaves that fall during the fall, but where I live, leaves are not this light. So this is Dominant Industry. November Leaves. And even there, you can see how light this ink is. Like, it's almost transparent. There's no opaqueness to it at all. But I would think this would be good for watercolor painting. I don't think I could write with it. that's just me. The next ink I'm going to swatch is Wearing Ghoul's Metamorphosis. No, I'm not. I'm trying to see. I am trying to see. Oh, this document brown did something funny. And I don't know if I want to swatch it. Look at that. Ugh. Okay. So the next ink I'm going to swatch will be Robert Oster's Charred Hickory. Now, I will say I have written with this ink. It is so pretty. So pretty. I love the red hues that is in this ink that are come on, English teacher. I love the red hues that are in this ink. It is so pretty and so opaque and so legible. And I wish I could read. I wish I would have thought to remember to get writing samples but that red orange hue that's in the ink makes it truly, truly stand out. I love the way it makes my writing very, very bold. And this is actually my second sample, so I may end up just purchasing a bottle. So this is Robert Oster. Charred Hickory. Eyes right there, girl. And this is perfect. Like if you're looking for a fall brown, this would be the one. And if you're bold enough, you can actually classify this as an orange, a deep, deep red orange as well. That's if you're bold enough. I'm not that bold yet. I'm not there. Yeah, I am not there. So the next ink I'm going to swatch is Monteverde's Pumpkin Cake. Now this kind of reminds me of Charred Hickory by Robert Oster. Very beautiful ink. Trying to clean out my pipette. So yeah, so it won't cross. But this ink is very beautiful. I have swatched it, but I haven't like written with it yet. So hopefully I can get to this really, really soon. But that deep red, orangish, brownish color, and I'm still, again, learning adjectives to describe inks. But it is so pretty. It is gorgeous. So this is Monteverde's Sweet Life Pumpkin Cake. I'm thinking they had a whole series at one point. Pumpkin cake. Now, I've never had pumpkin cake. So, I'd never heard of it until this particular ink. Have you ever had pumpkin cake? Is it good? Let me know. And if you've ever had it, where did you get it? Where did you get it? Okay, so the next ink I'm going to swatch is Laban's Greek Mythology Demeter Brown. I want a bottle of this ink so bad. Every time I go to pull the trigger to buy this ink, it is sold out. And that just makes my little heart so sad. Like extremely sad. Like it really hurts my spirit because I have written with this ink, and I don't know if you can tell by the disappointment in my voice, but yeah, I really, really want a bottle of this ink. I love the way it writes. It is, to me, it was a very wet ink. I love the way it made my handwriting look, and everybody knows I hate my handwriting. I hate my handwriting, but I roll with it. But I love this ink, and I definitely want a bottle of it. So this is Laban's. Demeter Brown. Like I said, I love the way this wrote. Like, this was, I fell in love with this ink as soon as I started writing with it. I was like, yep, I have to have a bottle of this particular ink. So the next ink I'm going to swatch is, and I'm trying to look to see which one's lighter. We're going to go with Diatramentis Document Brown. Now, my ink did something funny earlier. I don't know. I don't know. It looked funny. But I'm going to look at the swatch and see if I want to continue on with this particular sample. This is a document ink, meaning if it's up against water, it's not supposed to fade at all. I have not been fortunate to test that theory as of yet, but that is what I have gathered from everything that I understand. Again, it did something really, really funny earlier. It looked kind of wonky. So this swatch may be skewed. Diatramentis Document Brown. Again, I haven't had the pleasure of writing with this ink as of yet, but it did something really weird. Like there was some buildup at the bottom. I don't know. Now I'm afraid to put it in a pen, but we shall see. We shall see. Yeah. So the next ink I'm going to swatch is Conklin's Rich Mahogany. Now this is my second sample. I'm not ready to pull the trigger on a full bottle just yet. I'm not there, but I do love the way that this writes. Conklin inks to me are very wet writers. They perform very well in the pen that you put it in, and I may have put too much. So and if you hear that, that's my heater. It got cold overnight. So this is Conklin Mahogany. This ink is dark and beautiful with that beautiful reddish tone. Just absolutely it's an absolute gorgeous ink. Very beautiful. You will not go wrong. Again, this is my second sample of this ink. So that goes to show you how much I truly, truly like it. So the next ink I'm going to swatch is Waringel's Metamorphosis. Now, this ink, you could, let me put it this way. It could be either a really, really deep red or a really, really deep brown. That is how versatile this ink is. And I love inks that do that. Like in one letter it's brown, or one letter it's a different color. But this is definitely one of those colors you could classify as either red or brown. Thus the name Metamorphosis. So yeah, but this is a very nice ink. I really, really like it. I wanted to make sure I spell Wearingle right. Metamorphosis. Again, deep maroon to brown. And that is the way I see it. And when people do these explorations, you know, it's easy to go, no, it is not that color. But you also have to remember, this is also at the user's perception. Okay. You know, some may say that's a deep red. Well, to me, that's a deep brown. Again, it's all about perception. So don't be overcritical when you look at these explorations and go, you classified that wrong. Because I'm afraid somebody's going to say that to me. But yeah, again, it's all about perception. So, and the last sample ink that I have is Private Reserve's Chocolate Fast Dry. And this is a sample from Goulet. Now, I got this way back last year. Or no, I got this at the beginning of the year when I was really discovering inks. Because I think the only ink I had last year was the Waterman's Black and Brown. Because I was like, if I'm going to do this, let me start off really, really light here. And then I found out about ink samples. I was like, oh, okay, so I can get a sample of ink instead of buying a whole bottle. Yeah, so I just went through and I got all the browns I could. Because I love a good brown. Now this brown does remind me of some chocolate cake. Girl, some chocolate cake. Speaking of chocolate cake, who's ready for the Thanksgiving holiday? I'm ready because we're out of school and we desperately need this break. So this is Private Reserve. Chocolate. Fast Dry. And I'm going to assume that this is a fast drying ink. But this is a beautiful, deep, deep brown color. Very beautiful, very, very beautiful. And those are all my samples so far. I'm just going to put these back really, really quick and move these out of the way. So now we're going to move to our bottles. I'm just going to do it all in one video. Why not? And we're going to start with the smaller ones first. This is Herbon's Café d'Eaux. Now, I learned about Herbon from Charmaine Dulac, and I went to Jet Pens and got these two inks. Café d'Eaux and Lidite. I think I'm going to start with Lidite first because it's lighter. And I fell in love with both of those inks so much that I ended up purchasing a full bottle. So I am just patiently awaiting to use up these two smaller bottles so I can go ahead and crack open my big bottle. But Lidate is a very nice brownish ink. Again, it reminds me of sweet tea. Thus the name Lidate. And it has a tea bottle on the label. But it does. It reminds me of sweet tea. I'm from the South. Don't shoot me. I drink sweet tea. Okay. So this is Jacques Herbin. And this is Lidate. If I can get it spelled right. But this ink is very, very nice. It's a very wet ink. I love the way it makes my handwriting look. It makes it look very beautiful. It is legible. Yes, you can see it. I absolutely love this ink. And now we're going to swatch Cafe des Îles. Again, I just went ahead and bit the bullet because I love these two inks so much that I just went ahead and purchased a full bottle of both. And I got both of the 10 ml bottles and the full bottles from Jet Pens. And at the time, when I was buying all of the browns, that was the only place I knew you could buy brown ink. Or you could buy ink from, I'm sorry, not just brown ink, but you could buy ink. So that's kind of like my adventure through the pen and ink world. I got introduced to Jet Pens, and then I started watching more videos and discovering, oh, I can order from more places than Jet Pens. Yes. Now, this is from the same line, although this is Jacques Herbin. This is just Herbin, and I think Jacques Herbin is more like their more luxury line. And this is Cafe des Îles. And then again, this is another reddish ink that I just was like, yeah, I need a bottle of that. I definitely need a bottle of this particular ink because it sits well in my spirit. But this ink is very beautiful to write with, a very wet ink. I just absolutely love it. Now, the next three are from the Diamine Ink Vent 2022 last year. Now, I have not yet picked up the ink vent for this year. I'm hoping to. But these three, I've written with Dusted Truffle and Yule Log. I have not written with Pick Me Up. So we're going to do Pick Me Up first. And this is a Scent and Sheening ink. So let's see if I can get it open. Kind of smells like vanilla to me. Not sure if that's what it's supposed to smell like, but that's what it smells like to me. It's like the scent that I get. Again, I have not been able to experience Yule Log yet. I have swatched it. That video is not on my channel because I was too afraid to put it up. At the time, I was just starting with pens and inks. I was like, I don't think so. But with this swatch, I do see hues of pink. In the ink, I do see hues. I was fixing to say pews. Hues of ink. Pink. Good grief, girl. Get it together. Get it together. And this is Diamine. This is from Ink Vent 22, and this is Pick Me Up. And I'm getting ink prints everywhere. But this ink is really beautiful. I would love to put this in a pen. It seems like a very wet ink. I had a little too much on my Kakamori nib, so I'm sure you can see the feathering there just ever so slightly. It does say a sheening ink. I'm not sure what the sheen is, so once it dries, maybe we will be able to see. The next ink I'm going to swatch is the Dusted Truffle from the same ink vent, and I'm just going to shake up to get all of that shimmer, because it does say that this is a shimmer ink. And I want to get as much shimmer as possible. I think once I'm done with this book, I'm going to see if I can get an A5 notebook from Galen Leather. I love the Galen Leather notebooks. B6 is pushing it for me. It's pushing it. I need room to write. Now this leans a lot of green, but it is, to me, well, I guess it's supposed to be classified as a brown, but it leans really, really green. So we'll see. Maybe it's one of these ones that go, oops, I misclassified. Mine Dusted Truffle. Yeah, this is one of those misclassifications, and you know what? It's okay. It is okay. It is absolutely fine. It is not the end of the world. But this does have a shimmer that is a silver shimmer, and the shimmer is very, very prominent in this ink. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to come back and finish swatching. All right. I have returned. Everything is refreshed, dry, and I decided from this point I'm just going to use my Palette Iroshizuku dip pen because I like it. I like the way it writes. Okay, great. So the next ink I'm going to swatch is Ferris Wheel Press Workshop Wishes. Now this is a shimmering ink. I got this from Ferris Wheel Press. I am an ambassador. So if you would like to purchase any Ferris Wheel Press inks, I do have a link in the description and a code. But anyway, that's not what this video is about. A lot of people were wondering if this was comparable to Oyster Hour. And I had a viewer, Lau, hi Lau, from Catchy and Crafts, ask me, is this the same? So I did a video on both inks, and I will link it in the cards. I'm trying to get ink on here. This is crazy. That's the only thing about Ferris Wheel Press. The ball of the neck, or you know what I mean, is so small. But They are completely different, despite the shimmer. So this is Ferris Wheel Press. Workshop Wishes. And this is part of their Fairy Tales, Ferritales. Kind of a play on words. Very beautiful brown ink with this beautiful gold shimmer. This is a gorgeous ink, and I cannot wait to actually put it in a pen. I have not had the pleasure of using this yet, but it is coming. So that is Ferris Wheel Press Workshop Wishes. The next ink I have is Colorverse Coffee Break. Yep, it's another one of those browns that I just had to have because it had the word coffee in it. Listen, I was just buying inks because they had the word coffee, chocolate, brown in them because I know I love a good brown ink. So anything brown I could get my hands on, I was purchasing. Got a little splatter, but it's okay. And I'm cleaning this like twice. But this ink is I love this ink. It is a very wet ink. Love to write with it. It makes, to me, it makes the most difficult pen tolerable. I will definitely say that. That's what this ink does for me. It makes the most difficult pen tolerable, and I love it for that. So this is Colorverse. Coffee Break. And it does remind me of a nice cup of coffee. It truly does. Very nice, very smooth, very satisfying to look at. It does have some of those reddish tones, which is very indicative of a brown. So, again, to me, this makes the most intolerable. It makes the worst pen tolerable. So the next one that I have is Ferris Wheel Press Oyster Hour. Now this ink I fell in love with because of, again, Charmaine of Charmaine Dulac. Hopefully I'm saying her name correctly. This is when I first got introduced to Ferris Wheel Press. I was like, oh yes, I need that ink. That one is the one. And I didn't know you could get it from U.S. retailers. So of course I purchased it from Ferris Wheel Press. But this ink is very nice. It's a little drier to me. It does have some of those pinky green undertones. Again, a lot of people were wondering if Workshop Wishes and Oyster Hour were the same despite the shimmer. And again, they are not the same. They are not the same. But this ink is a very, very fun ink to write with. If I would say it complements small handwriting better than my large handwriting. Like I'm struggling to write in the grid right now because the grid is so small. again, to me, it complements smaller handwriting better than my large handwriting because all the ink will kind of stay close together as and not separate as much. If I'm making any sense to anybody, hopefully I am. Hopefully somebody out there understands what the heck I'm talking about. That is Ferris Wheel Press's Oyster Hour. And then this is Ferris Wheel Press Beaver Dam Brown. And yep, I'm going to blame Charmaine for this one too. I am. And side note, if you have a Ferris Wheel Press ink and you see that little plastic cap, keep it. It keeps the ink from one, drying out, and two, spilling out. Because without this cap, it will not be secure in the bottle. So now this brown has more red undertones to me. Again, I could be wrong. Remember what I said earlier, all about perception. It's all about perception. But that is what it looks like to me. Okay. It does have those deep red undertones, even though they said this is a brown and I'm putting it in my brown category. You can put it in your deep red / mahogany. Now this ink is coating my nib quite well, which I love, which means I'm going to get the best writing experience from this ink. So this is Ferris Wheel Press. Beaver Dam Brown. And notice I have not had to dip back into the bottle like I had to do with Oyster Hour and Workshop Wishes. So the versatility of this ink is amazing. So this is Beaver Dam Brown. I think I ended up getting mine from Van Ness because they were out on the website. 3 more inks to go, people. 3 more inks to go. So the next ink that I have is the very first ink, or one of the very first inks, because I bought black along with this one, is Waterman's Absolute Brown. So this has a very special place in my collection because it was the very first brown ink I had ever purchased. And I think I'm going to go back to my roots, as they say. I did purchase this one from Jet Pens when that was the only place I knew I could purchase ink. Because along with this ink, I purchased like 3 or 4 Twisbees. And I mean, because I wasn't in the headspace to spend over $50 for a fountain pen, because I was like, $50? I know you're kidding. But as I learned and grew within the community, or in this hobby, I understood the value. Don't get me wrong, I love Twisby. I don't know if y'all know me, but I love a Twisby pen. And I know some have not had so good experiences, but my experience has always been good. And the first fountain pen that I ever bought was a Twisby Swipe. And I still have that pen. It has a crack in it. I will not get rid of it because that is my very first fountain pen. So this is Waterman's Absolute Brown. And I love the way it has those, you can see the reddish tones in the ink. When you write, you get that good line variation, especially if you have a good nib that flexes. Oh, this ink is gorgeous to write with. Gorgeous. Now, I have been watching. My next ink is Pilot Iroshizuku's Inaho. Now, I have seen those who put this in the brown category and the green category. And this ink is very unique in that particular way. And I think this ink is discontinued because I ended up getting mine off AliExpress. When they were like, oh, this ink is going to be discontinued, you can get it from AliExpress. I was like, yeah, let me go ahead and get that. Let me go ahead and cop that ink right there. But if you see it again, don't be surprised. I will say that. If you see this like in my greens, please don't be surprised. Okay? I'm warning you well in advance. Don't be surprised. But I do classify this as a brown. A little bit. Again, because I could be misclassifying. But also, perception. This is all about perception. So this is Pilot. Wait a minute. Yeah. Pilot Iroshizuku. Can't y'all tell? It is early in the morning. And this is Inaho. I love this ink. It's a little bit drier than I like, but it is a very unique ink to me because it could be green or it could be brown at the same time. So yeah. Okay. And then my very last ink is Pilot Iroshizuku Sitsushi. Sitsushi. Listen, charge it to my head, not my heart. Now this ink is one of those inks you can classify as a reddish brown. Now I know you have some creators that are doing that, and I can't think of her name right now, and she does an awesome job with describing inks and breaking them down into various colors instead of just the regular red, blue, green, brown, whatever. Like and I will link her video below, one of her videos, but I'm not there. I'm not even gonna lie, I am not there. And I want to be there, but I'm not there yet. But again, this ink is one of those reddish brown inks that you could classify as a deep red or a very, very reddish brown. But I love the way it writes. It complements my larger handwriting. I feel it really does, but it really makes somebody whose handwriting is small stand out. And then this is, God, I need to get this right. Titsukushi. Oh man, listen, I'm trying. But this ink is so gorgeous and so wet. Very beautiful. I love this particular ink. And you can't convince me that that's not brown. So those are all of my other browns. I'm going to let this dry and we're going to come back and we're going to wrap this up. All right, now that everything has somewhat dried, let's take a closer look at our inks. I'm going to zoom you in. There we go. So we first have Poppy Plume's Caramel. Very beautiful ink. Reminds me of a caramel candy, most definitely. You have Robert Oster's Australia's Oak. It is kind of like that brownish, maybe or leaning towards the border of orange. You have Dominant Industry November Leaves. Listen, your girl's not gonna write with that. That's just, it's cute, but I'm not gonna write with it. But it is a brown ink. You have Robert Oster's Charred Hickory. Love this ink. I love that ink. Love it. Love the way it writes. Love the way it makes my handwriting look. I just absolutely love it. And you can see some of the black sheen right there. And even with the November Leaves, you can definitely tell there's a brownish grayish sheen right there. And then Monteverdi's Sweet Life Pumpkin Cake. Again, never heard of pumpkin cake. I'm sure somebody has, but very beautiful ink. And you can definitely see the black sheen right here. And Monteverdi, this pumpkin cake and Charred Hickory kind of, to me, are similar. It's just that the Charred Hickory may be a little bit lighter. And then you have Bond's Demeter Brown. I need a bottle of that ink as soon as I possibly can. That's all I have to say about that one. I need that ink. And then you have Diatramentis Document Brown, just your standard brown ink. You have Conklin's Mahogany. Now, again, perception, people. Very nice, very deep, rich ink. And then you have Waring Gould's Metamorphosis. I would say I probably misclassified this one as a brown. I would put this one with the deep, deep red, but nonetheless, it is here. And then you have Private Reserve's Chocolate Fast Dry. Don't know if it's really fast dry, but it is definitely chocolate. And then you have Jacques Herbin's Lead Detail. Again, this reminds me of sweet tea. Don't knock it. I'm from the South. It is what it is, but it's a very beautiful ink. I love the shading that is in this ink. It is very legible. I love the way it makes my handwriting look. Herbin's Café des Îles, same sentiment. Love the way it makes my handwriting look. You can see the black sheening in here. I absolutely love it. Diamide's Pick Me Up from Inkvent 2022. Yeah, that was just a little bit too much ink, so therefore it feathered. But this is a very beautiful ink. It is a shading ink, and you can see the black shading there. Diamine Dusted Truffle. Is that really brown? You know what we're going to say? It's a really light brown with shimmer. Very pretty. I don't know if I would write with it because it is so light. Again, individuals whose handwriting is small, this is perfect. My handwriting is large. I don't think it would look right. That's just my perception, okay? I'm going to keep saying that. And then we have Ferris Wheel Press Workshop Wishes. This ink is gorgeous. Look at the shimmer. Let me hold it up for you. Look at this shimmer that is in that ink. It is so beautiful. And then we have Colorverse Coffee Break. I love this ink. It is, I would consider this a workhorse ink if I needed to write with a brown. I'm going to gravitate towards that one. And then you have Ferris Wheel Press Oyster Hour. Very beautiful ink. This is one of those inks, again, that if my handwriting was small, it would be perfect. But my handwriting is quite large, and it makes it look awkward. And then we have Ferris Wheel Press's Beaver Dam Brown. This ink right here, hands down, is it is where it's at. This, it is where it's where it is. It's what it's going to be. It's everything. Okay. And then we have Waterman's Absolute Brown. Again, that ink holds a special place in my heart because that is the very first brown fountain pen ink I had ever purchased. So I'm going to probably reuse that one again at some point. And then we have Pilot Iroshizuku Inoho. Again, this one could be classified as a green, but I do see some brown undertones, so I did classify it as a brown. Now, once I do my ink travels in green, if you see this again, listen, don't criticize me, okay? Just go with the flow here. Let's just be like, okay, I understand where she's coming from, and let's move on, okay? And then we have Pilot Iroshizuku. I'm gonna mess this up again. Tsukushi, very beautiful ink. I love that ink. I love the way it writes, and I love the green sheen that is in that ink. So pretty. So that is my ink travels, and I decided to go with brown because I have a lot of them. Again, don't be too harsh on me with these colors. Again, it is all about perception. Perception is key here, people. And I love doing this. This was fun. This was actually fun. I actually got to know my inks a little bit more, what I like, what I don't like, what I'm drawn to, what I'm not drawn to. Yeah, November leaves, girl, bye. I'm probably going to, give away Dusted Truffle as much as I love this shimmer. And it is so pretty. But it's, realistically, I'm not going to write with it. It's just going to sit in my collection. And I'd rather rehome it to someone who would very much appreciate the sentiment of Dusted Truffle. Inoho is discontinued. Sorry, y'all. You may can find it on AliExpress. If I find it, I definitely will link it below. But that is it, you guys. Thank you for joining me today. If you like these videos, please let me know in the comments below, and I will do more of them. I'm probably gonna do it anyway, but I would still like your feedback. Yes, please let me know if there are some things that I can improve on with these particular ink travel videos. Let me know. I'm always open up to suggestions and constructive criticism. Now, if you're just going down me, don't talk to me. Okay. But yeah. But thank you so much for joining me, you guys. This was so much fun. I really appreciate it. And I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous. But I think I'm over that now. But thank you for joining me today, guys. And that is it for this particular video. And in the meantime, in between time, you guys be safe, be blessed, and have a wonderful day. Bye.